Hi everybody, and welcome back to All Talk Scottish Premiership. We've had a wee break there, and yeah, we've maybe come back a wee bit earlier than expected, but we've been missing the football that much, even though the Club World Cup's on, it's not been that exciting. Well, some games have started to be now, but not so much at the start. But me and Brooklyn, we're just going to talk about, obviously, there's been quite a few new managers. The fixtures came out, and obviously, some 3 teams have qualifiers coming up as well, so it will be good to get in early about a few of the transfers as well. As literally, as the day we're recording this, Rangers have brought in Max Aarons for Bournemouth. So there's a few things to talk about. So how have you been, Brooklyn? Good, mate?
Good, mate, aye. It's kind of like you're saying, it's strange, because usually, obviously, unless there's a major tournament like the World Cup or the Euros, these sort of summers are just, there's no football and there's nothing to watch. Mate, I'll be honest, I've not watched a single game in the Club World Cup. I've not watched a single highlight. I've not watched anything. I don't know about yourself, mate, if you've caught any, but I've just not been interested in it at all.
I think genuinely the game I watched in full was the Inter Miami in Porto game, because I was just sitting one night and I didn't actually realise it was on that DAZN for free.
Right,
So
aye.
I made an account and I watched that game, and obviously it was a good game to watch because I'm Messi, but I have not, because I think you do. I mean, this will sound bad coming from people hosting a football podcast, but I think you do need a wee bit of a break. And I say I've had a break, like literally, like 2 weeks' time, I'm going to Cork to watch Celtic play their first game of the season. Like, that's not much of a break, but I definitely, like, towards the end of the season, and obviously the way the season ended, and we'll kind of talk about it a wee bit, because we've not done a show, the fact that Aberdeen actually won the Scottish Cup. But I think especially after that, I was just kind of like, I needed a wee refresh for the season. But the Club World Cup, it is just a money thing, because some of the games have been woeful. Some of the teams in it are actually shocking as well.
Mate, I think that's it. Like, I understand, like, the idea of a World Cup and everything is great because you've got smaller nations. Obviously, in 2014, Costa Rica, flying. No one's seen that made out of the group of death. So sometimes it's good to watch these kind of smaller nations, smaller clubs get into tournaments, do well. But there is just something about it. Like, it's just a glorified friendly. And you can see as well, like, the players coming out and saying that the pitches aren't great. The substitutes are watching in the changing rooms. Like, when you're seeing all this stuff coming out, you think this time next year we're going to have a World Cup in that country, and we even never mind going into politics, but like just for a football principle, I'm not holding out high hopes, mate. I'll be honest.
Well, I'm going to put an early shout in saying maybe like, I know Argentina won the last one, but maybe another South American team is in with a chance, because a lot of the kind of teams that are used to like the humidity and the heat and that are actually doing quite well in this tournament. So if this is where the World Cup's going to be in America, maybe, some countries will struggle. I mean, Scotland will definitely struggle regardless, but I don't think we're even going to get there. But that's a different conversation. But it has been something to stick on. And I will be honest, I thought I would put it on a lot more often than what I have, but I've not really bothered as much. But I have, obviously, well, the two of us obviously I've been keeping up to date with the Premiership, and the big one really, even though it was a couple of weeks ago, the big one is probably Russell Martin being the Rangers manager. I never really asked you what your thought. I didn't want to text you and ask you, because I wanted the first time for me to ask you what your thoughts are was on the show. So obviously, I said on the show I was convinced it was Gerrard, and I will be honest, that's because somebody I know sometimes does find out this stuff. But that just shows you how much bullshit some people talk. But then when I spoke to the guy, I said, "Oh, what happened to Gerrard?" And he said, "Up until the Monday, there was still a possibility of Gerrard, but that's it, saying up until the Monday, fucking Carlo Ancelotti was going to be, and I mean Carlo Ancelotti, I don't mean David Ancelotti. But Russell Martin, what do you think of him, or what do you think of the appointment?"
Mate, I think, like, to be honest, 90% of fan base, like, I can't turn around and act as if this wasn't the case. 90% of fan base, probably if not more, were underwhelmed when it got announced. I think because you were getting, like you said, Ancelotti's son, his name getting floated about. You're hearing like he's a coach coming for Real Madrid. You've got his takeover. Is he maybe going to bring in, youth academy players for Madrid? Is he get connections because his dad? You start to think all of that. when you hear Gerrard, you start to think, you know, the success that he brought when he won the title, stopped the 10, he started to talk as if he was building something, and then obviously just didn't get back. So you're hearing all these names, and then you hear Russell Martin, and you look at the fact that he's spell at Rangers just as a player. You look at, you know, he's just been sat by Southampton, so you start to look at all the negatives, and he's the one you didn't want. But now that he's in the door, he's one of those where I know we've had this over the years with different people, especially Clement when he first came in. He seems to speak really well, and that's something that you've got to obviously take at face value until you watch them play. You've just got to go. He speaks very well. He speaks highly of the club. He looks as if he knows what he's doing, which again's you'd expect as a Rangers manager. But you look at the Southampton team, you look at the run, and you could argue that the Premier League now is the best it's ever been. You've got the likes of, you know, the original big five, big six in the Premier League. That's no longer a thing. And it's not necessarily just because your likes of Man United are getting worse, which they are. It's also because your Bournemouths, your Brightons, they're starting to bring in players for 5, 10 million for around the globe and selling them on for 100 million. I mean, you look at Bournemouth are set to sell the left back and two centre backs now for a combined 150 odd million.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy league that he was managing in, and I think that's what people forget. And it was a young squad that he brought up. It was a young squad he tried to keep. And although he's running the Premier League was poor, he also took Southampton a 25 unbeaten game run in the Championship, which is
Yeah.
also a notoriously difficult league. So he's known as if he's coming in with no managerial experience, no pedigree. So for me, now that all's said and done, now that, as I said to you, know, the last time we done this podcast was just wait until until the takeover happens, just wait until we get a new manager, and then you can start to look forward to the season.
Yeah.
That's all done, and obviously, like you said, we brought in Max Aaron, so I think again, the only risk that you're taking is it's only a season long loan. So if he has a good season, you're probably going to look at another kind of chair in this situation. You're going to be priced out, but it's a player for this season just to get Rangers back to, you know, where they think they should be.
Yeah.
So
Well, I agree with everything you've said there. To be fair, like I don't. I said really, whoever they get, whether it's a big name or a kind of unknown manager, I think unless they come like third or fourth, I think you do just need to stick with them. So like, see now, I think Rangers do need to stick with Russell Martin for a minimum of 2 to 3 years. Yeah, maybe take exception if by December they're 30 points behind, or by the end of the season they've finished third, but they've only finished third by a point. Then a Rangers manager and a Rangers squad cannot finish third or fourth, and neither can Celtic. I think it would need to be an absolute disaster for him to get sacked now. I think this new takeover are possibly going to go, we've picked a young manager and we want to stick with him. Unless you flip it and he does amazing and a Premier League team comes in February for him and goes, come to us. But then I feel like he is the type of guy that maybe wants to stay and try and build something. But at the same time, did he want to do that at Southampton? Not really. He was happy. He was happy playing the way he was playing and just getting beat every week. And people actually came out and said that was maybe to just get him a better job. And Rangers probably is a better job than Southampton anyway. But it'll be interesting. Obviously, we've all kind of got onto the other two teams that have got qualifiers. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. Panathinaikos is a tough draw, and it's like, do you want the Champions League to give you the money? But I will be like, I would never want Celtic to drop into the Europa League. But see the teams that are that are already in the Europa League this year. Like, I think a Scottish team would be in with a good chance.
do you know, mate? Like, it's that way where, you know, Rangers, Celtic, you said they always see themselves in the Champions League. I think the Europa League itself as a competition has built more reputation over the last few years than maybe what the UEFA Cup and stuff had. But for me, I still want to see us in the Champions League. And to be fair, it is that way where you look at obviously the last time in the Champions League, we took an absolute scudding every single game. So you don't want to see that again as a fan, but you do probably need to look at what it's done for Celtic money wise, because when Celtic's first kind of started qualifying again, you know, like the late 2010s, Celtic were taking scuddings. It was like 7-1s off your Barca's, 6-1s off your PSG's. Obviously, super power, super teams, but you were taking scuddings. But what that has done is put you in a position now where you're like one of the only financially sustainable clubs in Britain, never mind Scotland. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's set Celtic in such a good position
Yeah.
because of that constant income of Champions League money. So for Rangers, if you got through the qualifiers, I think, to be fair, the main thing, like you said, is just beating Panathinaikos, because if we beat Panathinaikos, what that means is if we lose in the next round, we go down to the Europa League qualifiers, which you would fancy our chances. But if Rangers get knocked out against Panathinaikos, I might be wrong. I don't even think we get Europe at all, or you might get Conference League. But again, you'd love to see Rangers do a good run in the Conference League, but at the same time, you know it's not going to be taken serious. For a fan, if you want to win it, yeah, but until you get to that final, it feels as if it's exactly what it is. It's a third tier competition.
Aye.
So
It's strange. You would need to be in that position. Like, yes, you have a European trophy, but you know, as a Celtic fan, I mean, it's hard because right now I'd be like that. How would it be celebrated if you won the Conference League? But see, at the time, if you're in a European final, you're not going to care. But
nah,
it will always be like, aye, but it was the Conference League. Do you know what I mean? It will always be that. But it's weird actually. I would like to get some more information on it because I was listening to a podcast at work, but because I'm in a jobs, I don't really get to full listen to them. But apparently, see, as soon as the next maybe 2 to 3 seasons, if if Scottish teams don't start performing in Europe, you could be looking at second place, only getting Europa League. And remember, years ago, Celtic would have to pay like three
qualifiers.
quarters.
Aye,
That's possibly going to be happening again. And look, Celtic done well in this. I mean, and as you said there about money, by the way, Slovan Bratislava don't even think they won a game in the Champions League, and they get about 28 million.
mate. So
Just
that's the thing. Like that's the thing. Like quickly going back onto the Conference League, I think the reason that a Rangers and a Celtic would look at it differently from maybe a Hearts, a Hibs fan, or even just like Aston Villa, like clubs like that who are big clubs but not the clubs, is the Conference League was set up because it allowed quote unquote smaller teams fans to have those away days, those away European trips, because it is, we've seen the Champions League over the last kind of 10, 15 years is dominated by the super clubs. Even if you look at the Europa League, you've got, Man United and Tottenham were in the final this year. Two massive globally clubs. So what it does is it allows the unrealistic smaller clubs a chance. And that's the difference. Rangers and Celtic don't see themselves as small clubs. They see themselves as competing with the top European global superpowers, like Rangers were going toe to toe with Man United, as were Celtic in Man United's prime in 2007, 8, 9. Celtic bet Barca, Rangers,
yeah.
they bet like Marseille, Bordeaux, clubs like massive clubs globally. So, I think that's it. It's like you're saying, the money that's now in the Champions League, like you're saying, 28 million for Slovan Bratislava, that probably keeps them again, just financially sustainable for probably three,
Well,
4 seasons.
obviously, we've done this obviously because there has been obviously we've not even spoken about that as well. 2 teams actually have come up this year, and a second I'll run through all the teams in the league and all the managers, because there's been 2 new teams promoted, a lot of changing managers, and already some transfers. So that's why we've wanted to do the show. I show this early, but I mean, just quickly, Celtic might not even get into the Champions League, but the thing is, a team that won, I believe, in Croatia is now made Celtic a seeded team. So they could have faced teams like Bodo Glimt.
Mhm.
So, but they actually could face a team from Maccabi Tel Aviv. They could face a team Thursday. So that would be fucking interesting to see what happens there, to be
Mate,
honest.
I actually can't tell, mate. I genuinely wonder if they'd have to play at a neutral venue. Surely UEFA will get them at a Palestine flags and go, can go on.
I know, but I mean, maybe we played at a neutral venue for the Tel Aviv leg because obviously what's going on in that country, but like nothing's happened here yet.
To be
I
fair,
say
mate,
yet.
it shouldn't be that difficult for if it's in Israel, because most Celtic fans, you all work and help out in Palestine, so you can just jump across the border and help them out.
I know, but that would be that. I feel like that's like not in a nice way. because it's going to be a big rivalry, obviously. But see, when I seen that come up, I was like, that's happening. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just knew. And I'm see, as soon as I seen that they're one of the teams we could get, I was like, that's going to happen. Because a few years ago, Celtic got, obviously, this is getting into the sort of sectarianism side and stuff, so we'll not go too deep. But a few years ago, Celtic got Linfield as well. So see, when they came up, you're just like, they're getting them. And we did, obviously, and we won. But I just, obviously, Russell Martin, Max Aaron's in as well. It hasn't been as busy as I thought it would be. Tell you who should some transfer window, by the way, and they're not no longer
Livingston.
Levy, but also they're no longer in the league. Ross County. You seen Ross County's transfer window for the Championship?
They're doing with Falkirk done, bringing in some good names of recognised.
Like, but just to run through. So in the league this year, we have Aberdeen, Scottish Cup champions, which fair dues to them. I remember sitting watching it. I wasn't at the game. And see, before I jokingly went, not jokingly, I honestly believed that I think they might win this, but it was because of the whole, see all the teams this year that haven't won something for years and they've won it. They're going to. And then, yes, it was an own goal, but see when Celtic scored and Vickers didn't celebrate, I was like, you think you are pumping them? But I honestly could say it. So congratulations to them, obviously. That's then affected Hibs because Hibs now need to play an extra qualifier because Aberdeen are guaranteed Conference League, but they also have a Europa League qualifier, but that's not been drawn yet. So we've got Celtic, who is Brendan Rodgers, the manager. Dundee, Stephen Presley. We've all got onto him next, actually. Jim Goodwin at Dundee United. They have a qualifier against a team from Luxembourg. Falkirk, champions of the Championship. John McGlynn. Hearts, my man, Derek McInnes is a Hearts manager.
You finally got my job, mate. You finally got my job.
Hibs, David Gray, who have got Midtjylland, which is tough for them straight away. Kelly, Stuart Kettlewell, which I think's an excellent appointment, to be honest. Livy, Davy Martindale. Motherwell is a tough name. Jens Bertal Askell. We'll probably need to work on that for the season.
Don't mind that.
Rangers, Russell Martin, and St Mirren, Stephen Robinson. So, as I said, we're going to go on to Stephen Presley. That famous line that he said the other week, if you want a manager to come in and win you trophies, I'm not your man. Yes, nobody expects Dundee United to win you trophies, but do you really want to hear that as you've just been? Imagine Russell Martin just come in and went like that. I don't really win big games. You know what I mean? Like, you would be like that. What the hell?
To be fair, mate, right? I've got two opinions that are going to contradict each other. So one, and I'll elaborate on this in a minute, is that I don't actually mind his statement. But two, I think they're going to get relegated. But
I agree with you because we always call for characters and honesty in football, and see at the same time, he's no lying. Like, see,
mate, that's what I mean.
Do you know? I think it would be worse if he came in and went like that. I am going to try and get Dundee the Scottish Cup. You would be like that. That's just no going to happen. But and I know Aberdeen's just went and won it, but Dundee obviously nearly went down. So I do admire his honesty, but I don't know. Just you're fucking 5 minutes in the door, man.
Mate, I think that's it. But right, you see, for all being realistic, it's like you're saying they were on the brink, like the last day of the season, basically, for getting relegated. So if any manager comes into a club like that, who especially just lost probably their best player in Lyle Cameron, and coming in saying,
Did you see that?
What?
He's injured already.
Mate, he's not been injured for 4 seasons, but he's injured the minute he gets through the door. Mate, it's jinx. But you look at it and you're going, right, at the end of the day, as I said, they almost get relegated. If he walks in and says to the fans, I want to take us deep in the cup, every Dundee fan's going to come out and say, let's just fucking focus on the league. We just want to stay up again. We only just narrowly avoided relegation. Financially, they probably cannot afford to get relegated. So let's just focus. I mean, you've seen the players they released. I think they released something like 9 players. 6 of them, I think, were in the starting 11 at the tail end of last season. So if he walks in now and goes, I'm going to take you to trophies, I'm going to bring this club to greatness, everyone but you and you're so out of touch. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. So he's came in maybe it's not the best wording, but essentially what he's saying is, I'm here to steady the ship. I'm here to get yous. Where you hear Andy Halliday talking about it all the time. Even a club like Motherwell, he said any club that's outside the kind of traditional Big Six, their main aim is just to stay in the league. That's the
Uh,
be all and end all. So I think that's it. In as many words he said that, he's just just used the wrong words to be fair to him. But I don't mind it. But then again, same breath, I think they're going down. So
it's an interesting thing, by the way. I wonder the last time something like that has happened. So there is going to be 5 new managers starting the league season. So nearly half of our league is getting new managers. Um, Obviously with Presley, Derek McInnes. Obviously that was kind of done before the end of the season, but he's not managed a game yet. Kettlewell, I
Martin.
think I Martin and obviously Jens Bertal Askell. Obviously they two face each other in the first game, first fixture of
Wait,
the
so
season.
see if we include in the promoted teams, so over half the leagues get new managers.
Aye, well, John
Aye.
McGlynn is Falkirk and then Martin. Aye, so there's new people in charge in a league, yeah. So it'll be interesting, and I'm going to be honest. Obviously, you're saying about Dundee, right? I don't think we can forget about this whole European thing that messes with teams. Like, look at was Hearts in Europe at the start of this year? I'm sure they were. Or was it
Aye,
last year?
aye. It
They were.
was. I'm certain that's why
And
their
Kelly
run was so bad.
and
Um,
Kelly.
Aye, because the qualifiers, that's the thing. Rangers and Celtic have became used to the qualifiers, but because Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen are so interchangeable when it comes to the league table, it changes every season who's placed in that situation. And I think if I'm right in saying, and I might be wrong here, I'm going to cut you off and you're going to look at the other side of Dundee and you're going to be talking about their European run.
Right.
And I actually quite fancy them in the first round anyway.
I actually done a clear out of my room, built a new desk for the show, because we're getting that much money for the show I've invested. But I am positive we would need to watch it back. Me and you actually agreed that because I said Dundee United and you said Dundee, we said one of the Dundee teams will go down, and I'm going to stick by Dundee United. I just think yes, I think they'll get through. I agree with you. It's UNA Strassen from Luxembourg. Yes, they might get through this one, and they might not get through the next one. But I just think I think there's going to be a shock. I don't think Falkirk will go down. I think Martindale will do what he done last time. I think he'll keep Livy in it for maybe 2 to 3 years. And then if he gets relegated again, I think his time will be up at Livy. I think he'll openly maybe go try something else. But I just think I think a big team goes down this year, honestly. There's a Derek McInnes get relegated with Hearts with no Europe. But then at the same time, Aberdeen, who are kind of guaranteed Europe, but does the Scottish Cup champions get relegated? I don't know. I think a big team go down, but I do agree with you. I think Dundee United will get through this one. But it's who they get in the next one. Do you think Hibs go through Midtjylland?
No, no,
Well,
I really
their
don't.
manager's been a bit cocky, and I think that's what's made me think no, if he's going to eat his words. He's already
Nah,
pretty much through.
do you know the main reason that I don't think Hibs will go through is Scottish teams have experienced this over the last couple of years, and that is the Nordic and the Scandinavian, their leagues are already halfway through by the time the qualifiers roll round. So in the Danish league, there's already been 22 games.
Yeah.
Midtjylland, I can never pronounce that properly, but
Europe,
Midtjylland, whatever they are.
European correspondent, that's some great knowledge from you there.
They're top. They're top of the table by about 10, 15 points, I want to say, after 22 games. And by the time the European qualifier rolls around, that's another 4 or 5 weeks to 9.
When does their league end? Because what I'm going to say here is, and this just shows my knowledge. Like, I would like to think I know about a lot of leagues, but I don't really pay attention to like the Scandinavian leagues.
Yeah.
So, could Michelin technically still be playing Europa League football, but they've already qualified for Champions League, depending when their league ends?
There could be a chance. I think what the problem is if I'm right in saying it's essentially in these sort of countries during the winter months it's dark like 24 hours of the day, and it means obviously heavy snow and everything, so it's just
How
not
funny is it?
feasible.
But we're saying that, and literally Ireland play through the summer.
Mate,
We're seeing these countries. But do you think it would be better? Because I'm like, so straight away, right? This is what I'm going to. This is my next thing, right? 2 years in a row, Celtic have not been the opening game of the season, and that's not coming from a Celtic fan's point of view. It's coming from a football point of view. The league champions are meant to open the new season, and it just shows you these TV channels are having too much to say. I don't, and that's my point, right? I don't really care because I'm on holiday, right? So I'm missing it. I go on another holiday. As I said, the show's making us money. Wait,
I was
wait
about
till
to
you see.
say, mate, I'm seeing absolutely none of this.
I know you're going to Craig Tara. That's where you're going. But,
European correspondent.
but how many games would you miss? But like, I know you would maybe only miss like one or two. But would you like that? Our league being in the summer? I think it's quite an interesting thing. Like,
Nah. Nah, I
see,
think as well.
see going to games midweek like, in fucking November, but you're just freezing and it's dark and it's like it's
I know,
shit.
mate, but mate, keep in mind we live in Scotland. The only difference is it's a bit brighter. It's still freezing. It's still pitching down. Like that is a thing, mate. Like you look outside the now and it's hardly fucking a wit about you watching football. So it's and then you get bitten alive by midges and everything. Like, do you really want that when you're nah?
We only get midges in the west of Scotland. Did you know that?
I don't know.
Maybe I've made that up. I don't know.
No, I think,
But
mate, I think I have heard that, but I think it's one of those things, like one of those fun facts you used to always put to the back of your mind when they're fucking biting you and you're like, just fuck off. That's it,
aye,
just fuck off.
but no, you're right. You're saying that's some great knowledge there with Midland because I never really thought about that to be honest. So they probably will go through. So what we're saying? Dundee United go through the next one. Hibs are out. But that means Hibs will get a Conference League. They'll have a couple of Conference League qualifiers, and then Rangers. What you saying there?
It depends, right? So what I've seen, whether it's true or not, I mean, there's just a bunch of because Rangers came out with AGM yesterday and basically they've confirmed they've got at least 20 million to spend. So straight away, every journalist, every pundit is linking us to every single player that's ever played football in history. But the players that we've been linked with that seem to have a bit of credibility are quite interesting. So Connor Cody, Rangers, everyone knows they need more centre back depth. I think it'll
Would
be a
you
good
not
signing.
get a younger guy in? But let me not. I don't mean young, but I
See,
mean like 24, 25.
see, to be honest, mate, we've had a few of them. So we had the boy for Benfica last season on loan, that Jedson Fernandez. Uh, his first name might not have been Jedson. I think that's an R boy. But anyway, Fernandez, he was there. He played once, didn't look great. You know, he gets that's him. You don't see him again. He's already way back. Enciala at points looked really good. At points, I'm sure there was a game that Barry Ferguson subbed him off after the first 25 minutes or something like that. I think we were it was Kilmarnock. It was Kilmarnock away midweek. The boy had an but he's an R one who's only young. You know, we've got Leon King, still young. So we've got all these kind of younger boys. So Connor Cody, who's in between, you know, Balogun was 38 when he left, 39. You've got young boys at 20, 21, 22. So to have someone who's experienced, I think that's probably going to be a good balance. You know, Robin Proper might be away. So you're looking at the incoming. So if the incomings are rumoured to be the next few ones seem to be Connor Cody and potentially Owen Beck.
Yeah,
And I'm quite interested by those, to be honest. I think Yefte's looked good, but again, Yilmaz, his fitness record, you can't rely on it. So it gives you left back depth. Apparently, Max Aarons is coming in as a starter, and what that means is they're going to be trying to have at centre back this season. Or at certain points, you know, Rangers quite often deploy the five at the back in Europe. So a very long-winded answer to your question is it depends on the incomings. I think if Rangers were to play with this squad, no chance in hell. When you're looking at Kieran Dow's still there, Ben Davies is still there.
yeah,
If you're trying to do a Rangers 11 and then try to build your bench, so if you're trying to do a squad of 16, 18, I'm not filled with any hope. I'll be honest, mate. Like I've got next to none. But if you're looking at maybe by the time, it's like almost a month today, I think it's the 22nd's the first game, with the second being the 29th or along those lines. If come then, we're looking and we've maybe signed that boy for Peterborough, that Poku, if we've signed Owen Beck, if we've signed Cody, and you're looking at that and going the likes of your Kieran Dowes, Ben Davies, hopefully they're sold, but if they're not, at least they're squad players and not starting players.
Aye.
So
Yeah.
as I'm sitting here right now, today, truthfully, I don't have faith that we'll go through, mate. I don't.
Okay.
Czerny was, one of our best players last season. He's gone. So you're looking at a front three. If a man out on the left where he doesn't like to play Dessers and, take a pick, do you want to play Kieran Dow on the right? Do you want to play Ross McCausland on the right? That front three, mate, that's no it's no taking you to Champions League, is it?
Nah.
It doesn't fill you with any sort of confidence, and then even the midfield behind that, it's still up there with asking. So how much, and he's got so much Premier League interest, or so the papers say, is his head turned? Does he want to still stay on our season? There's all these questions now. So though we're doing this early to try and beat everyone to it, I think now as it stands, truthfully, we're not going through
Aye.
as a recording today.
No, that's fair. Obviously, maybe just before the season starts, we'll maybe talk more about transfers, because it's hard talking about, Celtic might sign this guy, Rangers might sign this guy, Kelly might bring this guy in, Motherwell might get rid of that guy, when realistically a lot of them are still all if, buts and maybes. Obviously, Celtic side of things, Kieran Tierney, massive, massive signing. And obviously they've brought in Ross Doohan for that sort of homegrown thing and a third choice keeper, which wouldn't. I mean, I was a Baniac. I will be honest. I was mad on. I like Scott Bain, but
By
I
the way,
wouldn't. Really,
what a signing for Falkirk that is.
I was going to say.
Genuinely, I
I think
think
you
he could
forget how
be.
good that goalkeeper is. He is.
Mate, I'm not even joking. I think he could honestly be in contention because we've both tipped Falkirk to be quite a surprise package. I honestly think, by the way, Scott Bain could be. Mate, this is we like to always have a hot take in it. I think Scott Bain could potentially get a nomination for Player of the Season.
I think he'll be good, and I'm not just saying that. My pals watching this will laugh, but they need to get you a Falkirk season ticket. And that I like him. I just or something the Baniac thing, and that was pure funny. But that he's a great signing, and that's what I'm saying. But we've only touched on a few things there regarding signings. Like Hibs have made some good signings as well. I think Hibs are going to be really good this year. Like really, really good. Like
Mate,
like
their
do
biggest
but for longer.
Mate, their biggest signing, 100%, no matter who else they bring in, is the fact that they're set to get Triantis on a permanent. Because
Aye.
he looked incredible. Can I
I
turn?
thought Celtic would actually go for him, and like Seekins, I know he wasn't really a sitter, or he made sometimes he would sit, sometimes he would roam about. But Celtic, obviously, Kwon, who was out on loan at St Mirren, and then Hibs, he's the only other sitter at Celtic behind Cal McGregor. So I thought we would maybe have brought Chantis in, but that'll be massive for them, massive. I mean, I thought
Oh,
Sunderland would have maybe kept them, considering they get rid of Bellingham. By that's a massive signing for them if they get him in. And I mean, I don't want to do it the now signing wise, but literally just before the season starts, we'll do like best transfers, and we'll do like a table prediction.
aye.
But
We'll try
what?
it as well. I think what we'll try and do is maybe get, if anyone wants to get kind of respond to us about this one, maybe try and get people from different clubs, and try and do maybe a kind of in-person one, or even just a couple more people on a call like this, and just get a bit more in-depth opinion analysis for what they felt as if they needed going into summer and whether they think their clubs have done that.
Aye,
Because it's all well and good us talking about other clubs, but we don't really know what they've needed for the full season, which is why we kind of talk most about the old firm, which I'm just about to do again. Kieran Tierney, right? If I'm a Celtic fan, I'm worried.
no, I'm
If I'm
not.
a mate, like so, on his day, and I've said this even when he was at his in the first time, unbelievable player, right? Genuinely, at one point, it did look as if when. Do you remember he was rumoured to go to Real Madrid? Is
Aye,
after his first season. I could see it, and I said to people round about that pair, I said, see if he could stay fit. He's genuinely based at that level, but he can't stay fit.
I
I mean,
know.
he's just spent what four years at Arsenal, I want to say, 'cause I think he was there during the COVID season. So 4 or 5 years at Arsenal, And mate, like he had loan spells, so it's not as if it's like the Celtic or Arsenal medical staff. He also went out to Real Sociedad, and mate, like his fitness record. If I'm a Celtic fan, like yeah, the nostalgia makes you want to do it, and because it's a free deal, and it makes sense. But the thing is, right? See, Greg Taylor, nowhere near the ability of Tierney, but he had availability, and that is the best ability in football.
No.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
a wee football cliche to throw in there, but availability is the best ability at times. And Greg Taylor can play same as Cal McGregor, could play 60, 70 games a season.
yeah.
And you knew, I Taylor at points last season it was a bit lackluster. But who else you're gonna bring like Celtic over the years of like Ball and Golly and stuff as replacements, and even the backups are getting injured. So if I'm Celtic now, Greg Taylor's gone. So your only left back as it stands is someone that you're right now is averaging about 10 games a season, and Celtic play 60 70.
I think one of the biggest signings we'll have is who is our backup, and I do get that. I think it is obviously worrying, but I'm also not worried. Like it is a worry, but it's not worrying me. I just think if we get a backup, whether that be Josh Doig, we're interested in him. And there's a young Japanese player. And see, to be honest, Celtic need a centre back. And see if worse comes to worse, if big Liam Scales needs to go to left back for a couple of games, he needs to. But no, I understand that. I get it. But what the thing is as well, we're not losing any money on him. So it's not as if we've paid this money for somebody to be injured. But I think our biggest signing is our backup left back. I honestly think we can get through a season with Maeda and Ida up top, and possibly this young boy from Fulham going to come in as third choice, which I feel a bit unfair on Kenny. I liked wee Kenny, but maybe put him out on loan to like a Motherwell or a St Mirren, put him out in the Scottish Premiership. But it's a big signing, obviously. Tierney, it's a big name. It gets the fans happy, but
Is
it will
there is
be.
there a world is there a world where Celtic potentially go free at the back this year? Because I'm just thinking,
No.
see if you've got right, see if you've got Ida, you've got Maeda, you've got Jota, you've got Yang. There's a world, and I don't think Rodgers will do this either. But you could argue that Celtic's best formation, if Tierney's injured, is a 3-4-3, and you play Johnson right mid, Maeda left mid, and it means that Jota plays just in front, Yang plays just in front of Johnson, and then when you're defending, Johnson drops in and makes the four.
Well, you could obviously you've got that Swedish guy possibly coming in as well, that Nygren or something.
So if he comes in, I think
Obviously,
Kuhn's gone.
aye, and I like Kuhn. I honestly like some of the goals he scored and some of the games he played. It was excellent, but I just in my head I'm like he's been to teams like Ajax, Bayern Munich, Rapid Vienna, who are a big team in like the football world, and Celtic, and all these clubs he's fell off. Like there's a common denominator there, and it's him. I would absolutely love to keep him for a final season, but there's a reason that he's fell off at these teams, and there's a reason that he's fell off at Celtic, and whether that's because he peaked too much or he doesn't want to be here. I think he would be happy to stay another year, but do Celtic just bank on him now? Because the way he's fell off, if he plays like that next season, we'll be lucky to get 8 million from him, never mind the supposed 15 from Red Bull Leipzig. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, that formation would be attacking as fuck, and I could imagine us playing that against like a Kelly or something and just going for it. But in Europe, I don't see that. I think no matter what, Rodgers always sticks to that formation.
Mhm.
But it'll be interesting. Obviously, the first games of the season are in a couple of weeks. But what we're going to do is we're going to say what we think they might be the now, and then we can change them the
Aye.
before. So I'm just going to write your name down.
Well, there's no chance we're doing squad predictions, because right now I don't even know if Rangers are going to have a striker going into next season. So
I'm going to
let's
do score predictions.
right. I'll add my squad predictions once the transfer window's done. 'Cause I think we're slowly creeping up on the time here, so
But the Kelly game, so the first game of the season, which is a bit of a shiter, is Kelly v Livy.
do you know
Just
what?
say who you. Right, do you know what?
Nah,
Just
fine. I'll do score predictions. I'll
right,
do
right.
2-1
Kelly
Livy.
Livy, 2-1
Two
Livy,
two one Livy. Livy starts strong.
2-1 Livy. I was going to say 2-1 Kelly. Right, Motherwell Rangers. I've went 2 each.
3-1 Rangers. I think Motherwell could go 1-0 up, and then it depends because I think if Lennon Miller goes as well, I think Motherwell could be in big trouble.
I know. I wonder. He obviously, I think he is going to go abroad. To be fair, by the way, the way his dad was even talking as well. Falkirk Dundee United. I've went 2-0 Falkirk.
1-0 Falkirk.
1-0 Falkirk. I think that's the only
That
score.
it'll be a corner. It'll be a corner.
I know. That's what I actually pictured in my head for when it goes a corner. Dundee Hibs.
Hibs 3-0.
I went 3-1. And Celtic St Mirren.
1 each.
What?
Wishful thinking, mate. Wishful thinking. St Mirren have made 5. Mate, St Mirren have made 5 signings. I'm telling you.
5 signings, but conceded 6 goals. No. Okay, maybe. I mean, to be fair, Rangers haven't won their opening game for the past 2 years. Maybe it's Celtic's turn, but I've went 6-0. And Hearts and Aberdeen, I am going to.
1 each. 1 each again.
I think that's your. Aye, right. I've went 2 each. Right, so we'll come back to that. I'll make sure not to bin that. But Brooklyn, thanks very much for your time. I understand you're away to play a game of paddle. So,
By the way, have you played this yet?
I haven't played it. I need to, but
Mate,
we'll get a game. We'll get a game, but I'll need to Google the rules before it.
Mate, it's basically tennis and squash rolled into one. But mate, it's very. I know as if we've got that many viewers. I know we're trying not to disclose a location of where we stay. So, well, I'll text you where it is we play. But mate, I've only played one so far. But mate, it is good. It's good.
Aye, I'll get up for a game then. I'll.
Sorted. If you're ever in the country again, that is, mate, too much money.
I know. I like my holidays. But no, everybody, thanks for listening. Obviously, a wee brief show to get us back into it. And over the coming weeks, we'll do a few more. And yeah, hope the season will be back before you know it. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.